Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me.
Good morning. You are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz, KSQD 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. I am Katherine Bell, and this is the Dream Journal, a weekly show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you.
Stars fading, but I linger on, dear, still craving your kiss.
And the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. So Rick, bringing in the coyote's howl. There it is. Rick Cleffel, thanks for our background music and background sound effects every week. Can you imagine engineering your dreams? What would it be like to never have another nightmare? Our guest today is Dr. Michelle Carr, who is looking into the idea that we can improve our memory, creativity, and well-being at home with science-backed lucid dream-enhancing techniques. So stay tuned. I am Katherine Bell, and this is the Dream Journal. So the Dream Journal is also a podcast, and I want to say I've been looking at some of my online metrics, Spotify and Apple and all that, and I am very gratified by the number of podcast listeners that we have out there. So thanks to all of you in podcast land. It is wonderful to get out the news about the dreams. So do look for that Dream Journal and share it with your friends. Let them know that you're enjoying this podcast, or let them know what you do Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. It really does help people find the show. Today, as usual, I will be inviting call-ins during the last 20 minutes of the show, so you can get ready for that. The number to call will be 831-900-5773, so you can jot that down now if you like. That's 831-900-5773. You can also send me an email at onair@ksqd.org, and I will check email throughout the show. So that email address is onair@ksqd.org. All right. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Katherine.
All right. Good to have you on the air. Michelle Carr, PhD, is a postdoctoral associate in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Rochester in New York, where she works in the Sleep and Neurophysiology laboratory. Michelle studies what's happening in the brain and body while we dream, and also how does this influence our waking life. She also studies nightmares and treatments for nightmares, including lucid dreaming. Michelle is developing the new field of dream engineering, using techniques and technologies to influence dreams for greater health and well-being. Michelle is Vice President of the International Association for the Study of Dreams and will be promoted to President at the IASD Virtual Conference in June, just about a month away. She also has a blog for Psychology Today called The Dream Factory, in which she explains in layman's terms the technical field of neurophysiology. You can find out more about Michelle Carr at her webpage, thedreamengineers.com. So, hi, Michelle.
Hi, Katherine. Thank you for having me and for the introduction.
Absolutely, yes. It's wonderful to have you on the show. And I'm trying to think, we've actually been probably physically in the same room, maybe at one of the previous conferences that we've done in person, but certainly we've done lots of Zooms together over the last year or two. We're both on the board of the IASD and working for the conference. And I guess I always like to find out how people got interested in dreams. So what helped you awaken you to the world of dreams?
I've actually really always been interested in dreams, and I haven't told this story in a while, but when I was in, in 6th grade, I think, was the first time we ever had to do a research project. and we had to go to the library and pick out books, and we had to like develop a poster that we presented to the class.
Right.
And I did mine on dreams, and I remember that I got an A on the assignment because I had the most questions out of any presentation, because so many people, you know, when you tell them you're studying dreams, just everybody wants to ask you about what their dreams mean and tell you their experiences. And it's just something that I think so many people find just inherently fascinating. So that was kind of my first research project on dreams.
So you were in research all from the very beginning. That's great. Yeah, no, people do always have questions because, of course, everybody dreams.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what is so were there? So obviously, you were interested in dreams at that point yourself. Were there certain dreams that you were having that were calling your attention? Are you interested in sharing any of some of those early dreams?
My early dreams, I think I did have a lot of kind of vivid and, kind of fantastical dreams, like dreams with aliens and dreams with, I watched a lot of fantasy movies, so they were kind of like adventurous. But then as I got older, when I was in high school, I started having sleep paralysis quite a lot, which was terrifying.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And, so I would have those experiences of waking up in the morning and being unable to move and feeling like there was, I always thought it was like the devil or something was in my room holding me down.
Wow.
So that was kind of a negative experience, but as I kind of grew up, I learned how to get myself out of sleep paralysis and eventually how to turn sleep paralysis into lucid dreaming.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of a natural progression.
Well, I understand that sleep paralysis is actually quite common. Like some large fraction of adult population has had them at some point in their life. Is it 25% or something? Maybe we could just jump right into sleep paralysis and like, what can you say about that to people? Like, it's interesting to find the connection between sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming.
Yeah, I remember reading about it online, like as I was suffering from it, because there's not, at the time and even now, there's not that much research about it, about how it happens, or but there's kind of this knowledge about psychologically how you can overcome it, which is really the reason. It's if you allow yourself to kind of calm down as you're in this state, your body is paralyzed and it's very frightening, but the more afraid you are, the more threatening it becomes, right?
Yeah.
So if you like kind of calm yourself and slow down your breathing, then I don't know, it can become a less frightening experience. And since you're already kind of halfway asleep, rather than trying to wake up, you can just stay asleep and kind of go back down into a dream rather than trying to come out into wakefulness. And that's how you can get into the lucid dream.
I see. Well, it's interesting because even in dreams, I've noticed that if I start to become scared in dreams, then scary things start to happen, which is a little backwards than you might think, but that's what you're saying about sleep paralysis, that if you're scared, then it gets scarier.
Yes, it's so true. Yeah, I see that in my dreams all the time. If you think something threatening or some threatening character is going to attack you, then they do. So the more scared you are, the more scary things happen. Yeah.
Okay. And so do you work at all with that right now, or is that just was an experience on your way to becoming a researcher?
That definitely was part of what led me to want to study lucid dreams.
Yeah.
It's like they were such a positive experience, kind of like the other extreme end of kind of sleep paralysis is so frightening, and lucid dreaming can be almost euphoric or just extremely positive experience.
Right.
And
go ahead.
Yeah. So I do study lucid dreaming now, and I do think it's something that people can learn and can similarly kind of transform their relationship to sleep and to dreaming into something that's more positive.
Okay. Well, I will confess that I am a lucid dreamer. I don't know what to say, but I've made various really concentrated efforts to lucid dream on purpose, and I have not found a lot of success with it. But I do find I spontaneously end up in lucid dreams just once or twice a year or something, but occasionally something will wake me up in that moment. And, I'm realizing, speaking of lucid dreaming, having a lucid living moment, realizing I didn't do my dream share, which I usually do at the beginning of the show.
Oh yeah.
And so if I just want to like jump in and say, because the thing that I was going to share today that I'll just go ahead and share right now, talk about, being aware in the moment, like, that I'm actually, and also talking about practices that I've tried repeatedly and failed at, is meditation is another one that I've been trying repeatedly over, 15, 20 years or something, and always kind of given up on. And I'm starting a new round, and I'm optimistic. I'm doing a kind of a guided thing with the Waking Up app, Sam Harris, and this morning he just does this really gentle guided things, and he's like quiet for a minute or two, and you can see what's going on. And I had a sensation that I'd never experienced before, and you might be familiar with this, Michelle, is that I got to this place of like kind of like panic, like fear, like, well, what do I do? Like I'm supposed to like do something, like it wasn't, and there was like, what do I do? And like just pay attention to my breath. Like, is that it? I lead meditations all the time. All my workshops and groups all have, I start off with a body scan meditation or something like that, and I really get a lot out of that. But I've wanted to try myself to go a little deeper. They talk about watching your own mind in action, which is something you can do when you're dreaming as well, or lucid dreaming especially. And I had this like just jolts, this momentary of like, wow, there's like a lot of fear here, and it makes me think that's probably what is underneath my rushing and my need to control things and kind of being in a hurry. That this mental habit of like, well, what do? I got to do something. Like, time to do something. So it was just an interesting aha moment, and it seems like it's really tied into dreaming and what you're saying too about lucid dreaming, which is all about becoming aware of the dream when we're in the dream. So I was like,
I do recognize that experience. I've had that myself during meditation too, that you feel calm, and then all of a sudden some anxiety just kind of wells up inside of you, and you're like, what is this all about?
Right.
Where's this from? And has this been here the whole time? And, something to, I don't know, like roots that have to come up. So
right. And I think I do explore that in my dreams, like we were talking about earlier, that sometimes I'll get like a wave of fear, and then something appears in front of me, scary. But it is interesting to really slow it down and notice the cause and effect. And if I could be in the moment of just noticing my fear rather than looking around to see what's scary, then maybe the moment could pass, and as just a question of awareness.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So tell me about lucid dreaming. You said that you did lucid dreaming when you had the sleep paralysis, when it first started being a problem. I think you said it was in high school. And did you get some guidance about lucid dreaming, or did you just kind of spontaneously evolve into that, or what kind of opened the door for you for lucid dreaming?
It spontaneously happened the first time that I was having an episode of sleep paralysis, and I thought I was waking up, and I kind of like sat up out of my bed, and then I turned around and my body was still asleep, and I realized that I was in the dream, right? I hadn't really woken up. I was in a dream, so I became lucid. I was really amazed at everything at the time, because I was just like, oh my gosh, everything looks so real and so vivid, and it's just wild to be inside your mind like that.
Right.
But since then, I've kind of developed a practice of lucid dreaming. Kind of after the first time it happened, I did a lot of reading online and read a lot of books and learned a lot of different techniques for lucid dreaming. So after that, it became more of an intentional practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there hope for people like me who have tried and have very limited success?
I hope so.
Okay.
It depends on what techniques you've tried. What techniques have you tried?
Well, I like looking at your hands in a dream, and like looking at them all day long, and doing reality checks, like kind of like doing a little jump to see if you float back down, and I'll do that during the day. But at night, mostly, I just don't remember any of that. So maybe I'm not doing enough of them during the day for them to actually show up at night.
Yeah, they seem to work best if you do it in combination with like some behavioral sleep habits, right? So like the most common one is like called wake back to bed. So you wake up maybe at 4 a.m. or something, and you stay awake for 20, 30 minutes, just to kind of increase your wakefulness, your arousal. And then after being awake for 30 minutes, then you go back to sleep. And if you do that, then you're more likely to go quickly into a REM sleep period, which has more vivid dreams. And I don't know, just the increased arousal kind of increases your chances of maintaining lucidity. So you set this intention during your wakefulness, like,
yeah,
I really want to become lucid.
I'll have to think of it as a priority. Yeah. I mean, I'm just
to do occasionally.
Yeah, because I'm not that great a sleeper anyway. I sleep pretty well lately, but I've had many years of a lot of insomnia, and so I'm always like, don't disturb my sleep.
Yeah, definitely.
To set an alarm at 4 a.m. would be challenging for me. But okay, so that's one of the ones that is really successful. That's good to know.
Well, since you brought up insomnia, there actually was a paper recently on lucid dreaming training for people with insomnia. Huh. And it improved insomnia symptoms and other kind of affective, like anxiety symptoms during the day. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's kind of similar to kind of a mindfulness technique that you can practice around bed and within dreams. So maybe it just helps to regulate your sleep a little bit and help insomnia. So it's possible lucid dreaming could help.
Okay. Oh, well, good. I really appreciate that. That sounds exciting. Maybe I'll make another go at it now that I'm trying a meditation. Who knows? Maybe that'll actually help my lucid dreaming too, because
that might. Yeah.
Meditation is all about awareness, and so is lucid dreaming. So that's interesting. I'll report back.
Yes.
All right, so this is Dr. Michelle Carr, and her webpage is thedreamengineers.com, I believe, or is it .net.com. Mm-hmm. And in about 30 minutes, I will be opening up the phones, so you can call in at that point, actually more like 25 minutes, 831-900-5773. That's 900 KSQD. And you can share a dream if you're curious about or ask a question. Or you can send me an email at onair@ksqd.org. This is the Dream Journal. You are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz.
Did they get you to train your heroes for ghosts, hot ashes for trees?
This is the Dream Journal, and I'm so glad to have you here. I have with me Michelle Carr, PhD. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Of course. No, I love to. It's great to have you here on the air. There's a question I had about your Twitter handle. Your contact info. I'm like, it's called Darwin Dreams. What is that all about? Darwin Dreams.
Yeah. So I made that maybe 5 years ago, and there was something about, I was thinking of Darwin and evolution, and I don't know, I just remember when I learned about evolution and how, organisms and humans and species and the earth evolves with each other, and what we can learn about diversity, and I don't know, it inspires me, and I think about dreaming a lot like that. Like I learn a lot about how I am growing and how I'm transforming based on the world around me and how I'm adapting. So I just thought that's the way I think of dreaming, is an evolution and that I can witness my own evolution, I guess.
Right, and there's something for me that it does seem like the dreams help me evolve in so many ways. And one of the things that I've been curious about is your dreaming technology. Like, what is, and because the Psychology Today, your blog there is called The Dream Factory. That also brings in the technology aspect of it. And I wonder if you want to say anything about that, and just like, what have you been working on in terms of technology?
Yeah, the name of my blog, that's kind of by chance. It was called Dream Factory, but it was this idea of like, how do we construct and deconstruct dreaming and And now I'm obviously interested in dream engineering, which is, using technology or using different types of stimulation to influence dreams. And it's based on this idea that when we're asleep and when we're dreaming, we tend to think that we're just cut off from the world around you, and we're cut off from our bodies, and we're just dreaming in our brain or something. But that's not really completely accurate. I mean, your body is still very active, and you're still in some ways perceiving or processing the environment around you. So you process, the temperature of the room, or if, a classic example, if your alarm plays, you start to incorporate that into a dream. So dream engineering is, well, how can we use that, use the body and interface with the body in order to influence dreaming.
So what have you found that's been successful? But I guess I first ask, what is the goal here? Is the goal to stimulate a lucid dream, or just to see if you can communicate or influence the dream of somebody, or what is the goal?
Yeah, definitely. That's lucid dreaming is one goal. And that's kind of what some of my research has done, is using sensory stimulation to trigger lucid dreams, which is obviously, this is based on other, work for the past 30 years that's been done, especially a lot of Stephen LaBerge's work, where he used flashing LED lights and auditory cues to trigger lucid dreams. So we're doing the same thing, and I just slept in a sleep lab last night.
Oh, you did? Wow.
And I went through the training procedure. So I'm at Northwestern right now visiting a colleague who's running a study trying to induce lucid dreams using sensory cues. So she hooked me up to polysomnography, and then I was sleeping in the lab and she was observing me. And in the morning at 4 a.m., she woke me up, and she did this training with me where I was lying in the bed and she was playing this red LED light, flashing light, and a harp sound she was playing. And she was just training me, whenever I would notice one of these cues, I should remember that I'm dreaming. So we did this while I was awake. And then when I went back to sleep, she presented the cues to me again when I was in REM sleep. And I actually did have a lucid dream just this morning.
Oh, wow. Hot off the presses. Well, I'm so glad you could be with us after your work all night.
Yeah. I know, yeah. So in the dream, I didn't even really notice the cues much, but she played a harp sound, and then I immediately became lucid. And in my dream, I was in the bed, like in the sleep lab, and I was like, oh no, I'm not awake, this is a dream, it happens quite a lot in our laboratory experiments, that people just dream that they're awake in the sleep lab.
Oh, interesting. Whoa.
So, yeah.
Is it partly because it's an unfamiliar location, or is that kind of typical with lucid dreaming?
I think it's because it's an unfamiliar location, and a lot of, as someone's trying to fall asleep, they're very aware of, like, I have to sleep and I have to perform this sleep lab experiment well.
Right, the
so
pressure's on.
Just, like, on their mind, yeah. So then a lot of times they just dream about not being able to sleep.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's stressful.
Well, talk about insomnia. I've heard that sometimes people are sleeping more than they think. Now, a certain amount of the time they think they're lying in bed awake. They're asleep and dreaming, but they're dreaming about lying in bed awake.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Feeling awake while asleep. Yeah. Absolutely.
So once you're in the lucid dream, what do you personally like to do, or what do you recommend that people like to do? And of course, I'm dying to know what happened last night, but you can only share what you feel comfortable with, of course. But what is the recommended? I guess you can do what you want to do, but what kinds of things do you like to do in lucid dreaming to shoot for, to ask, or?
Initially, having fun is always a good thing to do. So even in my lucid dream this morning, I like to sing sometimes in a lucid dream, because it can be like just a really enjoyable activity. I don't like to sing in waking life, but
oh, interesting.
But in my lucid dreams, it can be really fun, and sometimes it makes the dream more vivid and more kind of, I don't know, it just seems to amplify the experience.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I love flying. Most lucid dreamers love to fly.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So that'll enhance your desire to go lucid dream some more if you do the fun things.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to be like the first plateau that people go through is like you become lucid and you have fun.
Right.
And then over time you might think, well, maybe there's other uses for this time, maybe I don't know, an example could be like practice something that you want to get better at in waking life. So actually, like sometimes athletes will use lucid dreams to practice their sports, or musicians use them to practice, or even to create songs. Other artists can use lucid dreams for creating paintings or, interacting with characters in your novel.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
So kind of like useful for waking life.
All right.
Yeah, and then there are people who use them for more kind of spiritual or psychological experiences. So you can meditate in a lucid dream. You can try to visit a guru or a priest, or you can, something divine.
Can you say something like, tell me something I don't know? I've always thought that.
Yeah, you can. I mean, so one of the techniques is to just ask a question out into the dream and see how the dream responds. But, sometimes the dream doesn't respond the way you want it to.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes I talk to characters in my dreams and they just respond with gibberish, and I'm like, that's not very useful.
Oh, well, that's funny. I still don't know that then. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
All sorts of different things.
Yeah. So I was actually, next week we're going to have on another lucid dream person, Tori Nielsen. And I was listening to his interview, and he was talking, this is with a shrink wrap radio interview he did with Dr. Dave Noyes. And he talked about a very simple induction technique is to wear gloves to bed, either one glove or two gloves. That somehow it just like shifts your body awareness in a way that helps you become lucid. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, so Tori he was my PhD supervisor.
Oh, he was? Oh, okay, so
we're
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, huh?
Yeah, totally.
I see.
But yeah, he's done a lot of work on how, that's probably where I get it from, but he's done a lot of work on sensory incorporation in dreams and how different types of stimulation, so wearing a glove, for example, how that gets incorporated and kind of increases your awareness, I think, during dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Claire Johnson is another lucid dreamer. I've taken a lot of her workshops, and she sometimes says, if you try to hold something small in your hand as you're sleeping, that can increase your awareness. You're kind of like aware that you're trying to do something, even though you're sleeping. It's kind of cool.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Well, okay, here's another line of thinking. What if, I don't know. I tend to be pretty controlling in waking life. I like things how I like them, and I like things in certain ways. And sometimes when I'm dreaming, I have one of these ideas, and maybe it's a little bit of sour grapes, but it's like, well, what if maybe it'd be better for me to not control something.
Oh yeah, that is a common question about lucid dreaming. Is it right for us to be controlling our dreams?
Right, disrupting some natural process.
Yeah, I think there is a balance that you want to achieve where you can control the dream to some extent, but the dream is always going to be creative, and it's always going to surprise you. And so as a dreamer, or a lucid dreamer, you want to be flexible. So if the dream responds in a way that you're not, you're trying to force something and the dream doesn't respond well to it, you have to be flexible and be willing to go a new direction, so
and that can be very insightful. I have lucid dreamers who I work with one-on-one sessions, and it's always very interesting to see when they're lucid dreaming and the dream, fights back. Like it has its own energy, and to see the things that are difficult to change that's often very revealing about what's going on in the person's life.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. Yeah.
Okay, so. So you talked about treatment for nightmares. Is that mostly a question of becoming lucid and then realizing it's a dream, and so you're not so scared, or changing the dream, or
right? Yeah, that's also a question.
Okay.
On the one hand, just becoming, as you said, just becoming lucid in a nightmare. You have that instant I don't know if you've ever woken up from a nightmare just into the waking world. You know that
Yeah.
relief that you feel when you realize, oh my gosh, it was just a dream. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really experiencing that. So just becoming lucid in the nightmare, just that insight can allow you to feel less afraid. So you're like, okay, this is a dream.
Okay.
So, that might be one mechanism that's working, but then often, in lucid dreaming as a treatment for nightmares, there's often part of the treatment is to try to change the nightmares. So, say you always have a nightmare being chased by a monster, you could instead try to turn around and confront the monster and ask it what it wants, or or fly away, or or give it a hug and see what happens. So, and changing it can help it to kind of resolve and to not happen anymore.
Right.
So that the change might be an element of at play in improving nightmare frequency as well.
Right. And I've interviewed Dr. Michael Nadorf, and actually he's coming back on the show again in a few weeks. And he talks about image rehearsal therapy, whereas doing that when you're awake. So you can re-script the dream while you're awake and then practice that. So I guess you can do it either lucid dreaming or while you're awake. And either way helps to kind of diffuse whatever is going on with that nightmare.
Yeah, definitely. Imagery rehearsal therapy is very successful for changing kind of recurring nightmares that people might have. People can have them for a really long time. And going through a few sessions of just visualization and changing your response to the nightmare, changing the ending, that can really, really help people. So I think, lucid dreaming can kind of be an addition to imagery rehearsal therapy in some ways.
Right. Okay. So just because I can't do the lucid dreaming doesn't mean I have to be stuck with nightmares. There's other ways of helping with nightmares for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Dr. Michelle Carr. And this is the Dream Journal. You're listening to K-Squid 90.7 FM. And Michelle, the next piece of music I'm going to play is from something called Daydream Diamonds by Paul Patience. Do you want to say anything about this piece?
Oh, yeah. So this is an artist in Montreal, and he's been, I don't know, I love his music. He's a good friend of mine, and I like Daydream Diamonds. It's got a nice dreamy vibe.
Yeah. I like the idea of it. So, and it is a beautiful piece of music. I'll have the SoundCloud link on the show page. So the phones are now open. If anybody would like to call in, Max is standing by. His number is 831-900-5773. That's 900 K-Squid. Or you can email me on air at ksqd.org. And yes, I just got a look from Max, so he's there, ready to go. So share your dream in a safe place, or share your experience with lucid dreaming, or any questions you might have for me or Michelle. And this is KSQD, streaming live at ksqd.org. And this is the Dream Journal. My name is Katherine Bell, and you are listening to The Squid, K-Squid 90.7 FM in Santa Cruz. I want to thank you all for your donations to our recent pledge drive, and you can donate at any time, ksqd.org. And if you do, tell them the Dream Journal sent you. So we are here live with Dr. Michelle Carr. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah, hi. So it's so good to have you here. And so, Michelle, you have been the vice president of the IASD for the last year, or was it even 2?
2 years.
2 years. Okay, 2 years term. And the president, of course, is Dr. Angel Morgan, who we had on a few weeks ago. And in June, at the big conference in the IASD, Michelle will be sworn in as the next president. Thank you so much for taking on that role. It's a very useful thing, and I'm so glad that you are getting the honor.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so glad to be following in Angel's footsteps. She's been an absolute wonderful role model for me. So I think she gave me the courage to go forward with becoming president.
Yeah, well, there's a lot involved, a lot of different committees and a lot of ways that the IASD has been reaching out to different communities, really just to share our passion for dreams. It's a multidisciplinary community. We have artists, psychologists, researchers, and dream enthusiasts, and all different kinds of people who are interested in dreams because, as we've been saying, everybody dreams.
Yes. Yeah, it's a wonderful organization. It's been, I remember my first conference in 2011. I was just so overjoyed to have found, my group of people. I just felt so at home there. And I just like how multidisciplinary it is, and seeing dreams from so many different angles and so many cool people.
Exactly. I'm a recent member. It's been about 4 years for me. But one of my first conferences, I was a volunteer at doing audiovisual, and so we were in this big meeting in a conference room and trying to learn how to hook up the speakers and the PowerPoint presentations, and somebody there was like going, well, wait, I don't get it. What's happening? And I kind of was expecting for that moment when everybody goes, okay, well, now we got to take care of this person. But there was like this pause and someone says, go deeper into your feelings. And everything cracked up. It was like wonderful, like just our feelings are welcome here. And that there's something like that was a moment for me when I felt like, oh, I found my home, like place where I get to be who I am.
Yeah. I attended as a researcher, and it was one of my first research conferences. But I remember attending workshops there, and just, oh my gosh, I was so glad to have that kind of more creative and emotional workshop experience within the context of a conference. To go back and forth from attending a presentation and then doing an embodied workshop and then going to the art show. It's really cool.
Yeah, there's a huge variety of things. And this conference this year is June 13th through 17th. You can find out about it at asdreams.org. And it will be virtual, 100% online. So no need to buy an airline ticket or wonder if they've cleaned that hotel room before you got in there. So you can attend from your own living room. And there are also the talky parts, the symposia and the panels will all be recorded, so you don't have to be on Zoom 8 hours a day. But there are multiple tracks. I think it's 5 tracks every day, and so there's also a lot of experiential opportunities. And so I recommend that you go to the workshops and dream groups, and because those will not be recorded, but you get a chance to have a live, interactive workshop experience. Mm-hmm. And we've had a lot of experience with Zoom in the last year.
Yes, we're all pros now.
Yeah, we all know about how to do breakout rooms or whatever it is that you want to do, and how to interact with people. And a lot of the workshops will have limited participation, primarily just to make sure that the leaders of the workshop can see everybody on one screen, because we want to make sure people are being seen and are being held in the same way that they would be held if they were in person. So if you might want to sign up sooner than later. Another good reason to sign up, to register now, is the early bird discount ends May 15th. So that's just in about a week from now. So sign up for the conference at asdreams.org. Look for the International Conference. There'll be a little tab in the menu, and you can find out how to register. It's a variety of payment plans that you can do, but register before May 15th so that you can get that early bird discount.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, so you'll be giving your incoming president's address. And when is the membership meeting? I've forgotten what day it is, but in any case, you'll be talking about your vision for the IASD.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous, but yes, I will
Right?
be doing that.
I get it. Do you have some thoughts? Do you want to use this opportunity as a chance to kind of, workshop some of your ideas, say out loud what your thoughts are so you can kind of see how it sounds?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think already, talking about all of the ways that IASD has enriched my life and how I hope that we can, I mean, really, I want more people to become aware of it and to be able to join, young researchers and young artists, and bringing new people into our communities. I think really important, and I think it can really enrich other people's lives too, paying it forward a little bit.
Yeah, yes, definitely. It's like, we, in our academics, we divide everything up into disciplines. You've got the physics and psychology, and you've got English and literature. Even that one divides up into different categories. So we have a way of really parsing things out, and dreams really encompass everything. That is the truth.
Brings everyone together.
Yeah, it does. So, what are you looking forward to this time? You're not doing a regular presentation, as I understand.
Right. Yeah, I'll be hosting, so I'm going to be attending the whole conference on track, because I'm hosting one of the rooms. So I'm really helping to organize it, I guess, and to help the presenters and help it run smoothly. I hope.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because we are going to have room monitors and things to help keep the Zoom rooms, to help keep the people organized, and make sure the presenters are not having technical difficulties. So there will be quite a bit of support throughout the conference. So I want to let you guys know that there is time for a call-in. If anybody wants to make a call, the number is 831-900-5773, or you can send an email at onair@ksqd.org, and that number again is 831-900-5773. So, you mentioned your own recent experience in the sleep lab, Michelle, and what are you going forward into? What do you have that you'd like to start exploring? What new things maybe that you haven't even really started yet? What are your hopes and dreams?
I do want to continue with lucid dreaming research, but I want to, so far I've mostly done studies that are not clinical. So they're studies just looking at how can we induce lucid dreams and how much control do people have in lucid dreams. And going forward, I want to start to do more clinical studies looking at actually applying lucid dream training as a treatment for people, possibly people with nightmares or people even insomnia, as I was talking about earlier. And trying to understand how it works and how it helps and how we can improve, the training and improve people's experience with it and the success rate of it.
Yeah.
And just getting more people aware of it, I guess. It could just become kind of an add-on. Sleep hygiene and sleep health, I think, is very, it's become very kind of well known. People know about it and doctors know about it, and it's kind of a normal part of wellness nowadays. So I'd like just dreaming and potentially lucid dreaming to just be something that people can add into that kind of arsenal of how to live a healthy and balanced life, Yeah.
One thing floating through my mind, Michelle, is PTSD. And that's a situation, post-traumatic stress disorder, and one of the hallmarks of this particular disorder is frequent and intense nightmares. And I've heard that one of the things is that maybe the nightmares are a process where the nightmares are kind of stuck. That the dreaming process helps us wear the sharp edges off our memories, the emotional, traumatic things. But there's a way that the dream never gets to complete, and that the person wakes up. And I've been reading some of the things by Michael Walker and his team up in Berkeley about sleeping to forget, sleeping to remember, and that there's sleeping helps us to forget trauma in a certain way. Like we remember the memory, but we get to forget the actual horror of it, the really intense emotional edge of that. And I don't know if that's a population that has been ever studied around with lucid dreaming.
Yeah, it is. So kind of the hallmark feature is called of PTSD is that they have these recurring, actually replicative nightmares.
Yeah.
So nightmares that really replay their trauma. And not only is this really disturbing to sleep because they frequently wake up, but it's almost like re-experiencing a trauma, because their body is kind of aroused, their heart rate increases, their respiration rate increases, they're psychologically, re-experiencing a trauma memory during a nightmare.
Right.
And they really think it's happening to them because it's, when you're usually in dreaming, you really think that that's what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like re-traumatizing, and it interferes with sleep, which, as you were just saying, it interferes with our ability to regulate our emotions. So they're feeling very distressed during the day. They're afraid of going to sleep. Their sleep is disrupted. So it's really difficult to deal with. And imagery rehearsal therapy is one treatment. So treating the nightmares seems to help other symptoms of PTSD. And lucid dreaming has also been used. So training someone to change the content of the nightmare, to change the way they react to it through becoming lucid seems to be a successful treatment for PTSD, for decreasing nightmare distress and really just improving a relationship to sleep. So they're not so afraid of going to sleep. They don't feel so distressed when they wake up, potentially even feel positive after a lucid dream. So kind of shifts that pattern.
It'd be good to get the word out to all the doctors and the Veterans Administration about that kind of treatment for PTSD. It's such a painful thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Since you brought up the technologies, there is one new technology that's been developed to treat nightmares and PTSD. I think it's being tested and it's been approved by the FDA, which is it's an app, I think, called Nightwear.
Oh.
And so it's supposed to detect to some extent when you're having a nightmare because it detects your respiration rate, your heart rate. So when it sees those are really high, it suspects that you're having a nightmare. It just triggers this vibration. I don't know how it's worn, but it triggers a vibration that kind of wakes you up a little bit.
Oh, interesting.
Interferes with the nightmare. So
Nightwear, W-E-A-R?
W-A-R-E.
A-R-E, just like nightmare. Yeah. Okay. Oh, interesting. So, but it's a feedback thing where you would then wear a device and it would see if it could wake you up during a nightmare, which is actually interesting because maybe, I don't know. I've heard nightmares are dreams that aren't finished, and so maybe you kind of do want to finish it, but with a little more awareness. So if you could wake you up within the dream, make you become lucid in the dream, then that could actually be useful, perhaps.
Right. It's interesting you say that because it doesn't wake you up fully. It just wakes you up a little bit, I think. So it doesn't completely disrupt your sleep cycle. It's just kind of maybe increasing awareness or allowing you to just come out of the nightmare a little bit.
That's fascinating. So we have a caller on the line. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
Hi, this is Ray from Santa Cruz.
Hey, Ray. Good to have you calling again. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good.
I'm delighted.
Good. What can we do for you?
Well, I've got a dream I'd like to share.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Get your help with.
Okay, we're ready.
It was a wonderful dream. What made it wonderful was my grandpa, for whom I was named, and he's been dead many years, but he was just a wonderful, wonderful person in my life, and he showed up in my dream. I've never had a dream about him before. And in the dream, I'm living in some kind of some large area, kind of a sleeping area, but no one else is there right now, even though apparently I have other roommates. So anyhow, he shows up, and I'm so happy to see him, and he looks great, and I hug him, and I hold him really close for a long time, and he felt just strong and healthy. By the way, he died when he was 99 years old.
Wow.
And he was a very short man. He was about 5'3". And he told me he was going to go back home to his place. I said, no, it's too late. Stay here with me. there's plenty of room. Some of my housemates are gone. There's some empty beds. So he says, okay, and I'm delighted. We'll have a little more time together. But then one of my roommates shows up, and this is after my grandpa had gotten into my bed, and I'd gotten into my roommate's bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I apologized to my roommate, but he says, oh, it's okay. There's still other space here. And I asked Grandpa when he usually goes to bed and gets up. He says he usually goes to bed about 11 and gets up at 4. I'm surprised. He says, oh, that's all I need. And that's all I remember of the dream.
Well, so wonderful you got to see your grandpa.
Oh, I was just thrilled. I just can't tell you. It was so sweet.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, just to have that connection and that he took you up on your offer of staying over. It sounds like he was going to sleep in your bed.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a real gift here, or kind of a visitation for me. That's one of the ways I feel about this dream, that there's like a real, like maybe there is the essence of your grandfather checking in on you and coming to give you a hug.
Mm-hmm. Well, it exactly felt like a gift.
Yeah.
I woke up in this kind of glow, feeling I'd been given a gift.
Beautiful.
And I'm thinking about your guest. I'm thinking, gee, I would love to be able to engineer a dream, or more dreams, where I could go back and spend time with, people I love. I've been thinking a lot about my mother recently and my dad, and doing some memoir writing about them, and thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great to be able to give my mother a hug again?
What do you think about that, Michelle? Can we engineer a kind of a dream?
Well, yeah, that's interesting, and I think in lucid dreams, that is something that people do sometimes want to do in their lucid dreams, is visit with people who have passed away, or even ancestors that they maybe never got to meet. But one idea I had with engineering dreams is, we can use a scent, an odor to influence dreams. And odors are often very related to our emotional memories. And so I thought about that, having an odor, like maybe if your mother wore a perfume or something, if you put that in your room, if it could influence or trigger a dream about your mother. It's a possibility.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, a certain kind of soap they used, or cookies and vanilla or something. Oh, what a wonderful idea, Michelle. Thank you. Well, thanks for calling, Ray. It's wonderful to share that beautiful dream. And the thing about the sleeping from 11 to 4, like, I need more sleep than that. But there is a thing where they say older people need less sleep, and I don't know if they need less sleep or they just get less sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't know the answer to that either.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wonder, because I feel so much better when I get 8 hours, 7 and a half to 8 hours. So.
Me too.
Okay. All right. Well, take care, Ray. So glad you called.
Thank you.
All right.
And thanks, Michelle. Thanks for the work you're doing. And
Thank you.
Yeah, I wonder what a beautiful, beautiful dream. This is gorgeous.
Have you had some visitation dreams before, Katherine?
I've had very few, actually. It's not a kind of a theme of mine. I would not say, certainly nothing quite so beautiful as that. And mostly it's like somebody is there and it's just kind of matter of fact that they're there, and like, oh, look at that. or else bringing up the more difficult part of the relationship. Which I'm like, it's just something to work out, yes, but not as beautiful a gift as that. So, So Michelle, how can folks get in touch with you? We have your webpage, thedreamengineers.com. Are there other ways, or is that the best? What do you say?
I think my email address is listed on that webpage.
Okay.
Or, my Twitter, Darwin's Dreams.
So it's plural, Darwin's Dreams, both?
Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, the Psychology Today blog at the Dream Factory, which looks quite interesting. I glanced at a few of those. You have quite a few writings there.
Yeah, it's been running for a long time, so I've accumulated a lot of blogs now.
Okay. Thank you. And then do you have any final thoughts? Any final thoughts or encouragements that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, no, I really appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you spreading the good word about dreams. And I listened to some of your other interviews. You're interviewing so many really great people in the community, so I really appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm so glad that it's making a difference. People do get back to me, and I always love to hear from folks. And Michelle, thank you for all the work you're doing with the ISD and the research in the lab as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, well, take care, and we'll see you at the conference for sure in June, not
Yes,
before.
we will. See you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
So next week we will indeed continue to hear from IASD conference presenters, and we'll be speaking with Dr. Tori Nielsen, who we found out is Dr. Carr's PhD thesis advisor. Dr. Nielsen works at a sleep lab in Montreal, and we'll be talking about do-it-yourself dream research, including sleep onset micro-dreaming, pandemic dreams, and always a fun one, flying dreams. Plus, we'll probably get into one of my favorite topics, brain science. So tune in next week or look for the podcast, which should ordinarily be released at noon on Monday. I apologize, I was late this week. It was operator error. Totally my fault. But you can listen live at Saturday at 10 o'clock or catch the podcast replay.
Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries far behind you.
I am Katherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out more about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Or you can email me at Katherine@ksquid.org. That's KATHERINE at KSQD.org. Please contact me so I can sign you up for your free introductory dream consultation. If you like this show, please do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or tell a friend how much you are enjoying the show. I'd also like to thank my program assistant, Max Deaton, and our creative musician, Rick Kleffel, who created an original composition for our ambient music again today, and for our call-in from Ray. So thank you to all the fabulous donors who support this station. You can always do that yourself at ksqd.org and tell them the Dream Journal sent you. That's all for the Dream Journal. When you wake up tomorrow morning, take a minute to look within. Do you remember a dream? Write it down and bring it to the next Dream Journal. I am Katherine Bell, and you are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz.
Trying to take away